It's 7 o'clock. This is Sky News Breakfast. These are our top stories this morning. Coming home from Rome. Celebrations continue throughout the night after England go through to their first Euro Championship semi-final in 25 years. Captain Kane led the way with 2 goals as the Three Lions knocked out Ukraine in emphatic style.
Do you know what? It's been the absolute best night that I've had in at least 2 years because I've not really seen anyone.
We'll be live in both Rome and here outside Wembley this morning before England return home to play their next match against Denmark there on Wednesday. Also this morning, reports that Boris Johnson will end mandatory mask wearing when lockdown ends on the 19th of July. Scrap the protocol. The new DUP leader calls for action on the Brexit border.
I'm prepared to give the Prime Minister an opportunity now to put right what was done wrong to Northern Ireland under the protocol.
A chop and change in the regulations. All UK hairdressers must now learn how to cut and style afro hair as standard during their training. Plus, Cyprus appeals for help to tackle a huge wildfire described as the worst in the country's history.
Good morning. We've got sunny spells and showers today. Again, some of the showers could be heavy and thundery. I'll bring you more details through the morning.
And at 2:45, we'll take a look at the morning's papers with the broadcaster Anne Diamond and the editor of the Sunday Express, Mick Booker. Good morning. Welcome to Sky News Breakfast. Thank you for joining us. England are going to their first Euro Championship semi-final in 25 years after an emphatic victory against Ukraine in Rome. 2 goals from captain Harry Kane helped the Three Lions to a 4-0 thumping of their opponents, with celebrations and cries of "It's coming home" continuing throughout the night in both Italy and back in England. Gareth Southgate's men will now play Denmark in front of 60,000 fans at Wembley on Wednesday night for a chance to get to their first major final since 1966. Our Europe correspondent Michelle Clifford reports from Rome.
It's coming! It's coming home! It's coming home! It's coming home!
Many had forked out thousands of pounds to get here, and for the England fans leaving the Rome Stadium, it was money well spent, celebrating the team's triumph over Ukraine and a place in the semi-finals. England were dominant from the start, and after just 3.5 minutes, captain Harry Kane broke through to put them ahead with his second goal of the tournament, and that set the tone for the night. Within a minute of the restart, it was 2-0. Harry Maguire inched perfect to head home a free kick. The floodgates were open. Harry Kane heading in his second a couple of minutes later. Number 4 came up on 62 minutes. Jordan Henderson with his first ever goal for England, this time from a corner. The demolition was complete.
Harry's had a lot of hard time, right? But do you know what? He came good.
Do you know what? It's been the absolute best night that I've had in at least 2 years.
No words. 4-0. Unbelievable. This is the last time we scored 4 goals.
4-0
Hey?
to the England!
4-0
to the England! 4-0!
We know there was only not as many fans as there would be, but that atmosphere was amazing.
It's going to be us versus Italy now. That's it. That is the final. Are you ready for it?
Yes, the champion! Football's coming home again!
England fans had been confident from the start, and what they lacked in numbers in Rome, they made up for with sheer enthusiasm. Thousands had been prevented from travelling from the UK to Italy because of COVID restrictions, but that didn't stop Brits from across the European Union and much further afield from making the journey.
We've flown up from Dubai. We came in yesterday. It's a 6.5-hour flight, and yeah, it's been amazing.
We live in Stockholm, so it wasn't too bad. It was just basically Stockholm to Frankfurt, Frankfurt to here last night.
So I live in Malaga, and we've had a couple of days sightseeing, and now we're obviously ready for the game.
We've come from Montpellier in France. We're pretty desperate to get here because we had tickets for all the games before the pandemic hit. And then so once it hit, we lost all those tickets, and this was the only game we could have possibly gone to.
But with the team's success, the fans who had to stay away from Italy will now have their chance to see England play again on home turf.
The next stop for England, Wembley, where they'll take on Denmark for a place in the final and where they'll be guaranteed the support of thousands of fans.
It's coming! Football's coming home!
There will be some sore heads after England's latest success, taking them a step closer to becoming European champions. Michelle Clifford, Sky News, Rome.
Well, in a moment, we'll look ahead to the semi-final with Charlotte Lomas. She's outside Wembley Stadium. But first, let's talk to Michelle, who's in Rome this morning. Michelle, the atmosphere here, just watching the game on TV, was awesome. What was it like actually being there?
Well, pretty much the same. There were worries, I think, from a lot of people, including the players, including many fans, that the atmosphere in the stadium wouldn't be quite the same because, of course, there weren't so many England fans there. People prevented from travelling from the UK to Italy because of COVID restrictions. But we were outside the stadium and you could just hear the euphoria when the final whistle blew. So people absolutely delighted. I don't think many of the fans thought it'd be a 4-0 victory. It wasn't just a win, it was a resounding win. And of course now it means that England will be playing their next match at Wembley next Wednesday against Denmark, and that means many more fans will be able to go and watch the match. Harry Kane, the England captain, last night tweeted his delight. He said after such a difficult year for so many people, he was glad and the players were glad to bring so much happiness to so many people. And I have to say, there did seem to be a very good atmosphere between fans from the two sides. Yesterday you saw Ukrainian fans and England fans talking and mixing during the day, and actually a lot of Ukraine fans, when they came out of the stadium, actually said to us that England deserved the win. So, yeah, a lot of people going home very happy this morning. Obviously, there'll be a lot of sore heads, and they will be returning, the fans, not to the UK because they couldn't travel, but returning to places all over the globe. We spoke to people yesterday who'd flown in from America, who'd flown in from Dubai, and lots of people who've flown in right across the European Union.
OK, Michelle, thanks. OK, well, let's talk to Charlotte, because that is where they're going to be on Wednesday. 60,000 fans will be allowed, and that's the ticket to have, isn't it, Charlotte?
It certainly is. All eyes here now on Wembley, where England will take on Denmark in the semi-finals. Their first semi-finals in the European Championship for 25 years. And the fans here will be ready to welcome the team. As Michelle mentioned there, many fans not allowed to travel to Rome due to COVID restrictions. But they'll certainly be ready to try and get a ticket here. There will, of course, still be strict entry requirements here, trying to get a ticket. You'll have to have proof of a negative COVID test or be fully vaccinated 14 days before the fixture. So it will still be quite controlled here, but many fans hoping to get a ticket. There'll be more than 60,000 tickets available as Wembley increased capacity to 75% for the latter stages of this tournament. And this will be the largest sporting event here in the UK to take place in 15 months. So the England fans and the England team will be hoping to continue that solid performance last night, hopefully get them through to the final, which will take place here at Wembley again on Sunday.
That will be awesome. Michelle, Charlotte, thank you so much. Well, away from the football, next week Boris Johnson will spell out whether COVID restrictions in England will end on the 19th of July, with signs suggesting the government will go ahead with lifting most, if not all, lockdown measures. Now, with the Health Secretary Sajid Javid keen to stress that the link between cases and hospitalisations has been broken by the vaccine rollout, there are reports that mandatory mask wearing will be ditched on the 19th. Our political correspondent Rob Powell has the latest now from Westminster.
The final sign-off for July the 19th will still be a week tomorrow on July the 12th. That's when the government will look to see whether all of their tests have been met. But we should get some sort of indication of the direction of travel in the next week or so. And all signs coming from the government is that they're pretty confident about that July the 19th date and pretty confident about being able to lift most, if not all, legal restrictions. The new Health Secretary, Sajid Javid, writing in today's Mail on Sunday, has said that England is on track to hit that date, but he did warn that we are likely to see a significant increase in cases. But crucially, it appears the Health Secretary does believe that the vaccine programme has broken the link between infections and deaths, pointing out that whilst cases have gone up recently, the numbers of deaths have stayed relatively steady. Now, also in a number of the morning's newspapers, reports that mandatory face mask wearing will be dropped from July the 19th, that Boris Johnson could be getting ready to announce that within the next week. Number 10 are saying that no final decisions have been made, but of course ministers in the past, even on air, have said that the aim is to remove legal restrictions, and that will mean mandatory face mask wearing going out the door. Now, the question is whether that is replaced by guidance and what type of guidance and where that applies to, whether people stick to that guidance and whether that really allays the fears of some medical groups that have been speaking out this weekend about their worries. We should also get an update in the next week or two on international travel, the potential for axing quarantine from amber list countries. So all in all, probably 10 days of relatively positive news. That's not to say there aren't some worrying signs. Cases starting to grow quite quickly. So it will test the mettle of the Prime Minister to go ahead with lifting a lot, if not all, legal restrictions while cases are on the rise, especially as Boris Johnson is someone that in the recent past has been accused of being too eager to get back to normality.
We have some breaking news from the Philippines this morning, and that is that a military plane has crashed and broken up into flames in the southern Philippines with 92 people on board. The army chief has said that 40 people have been rescued. It's a C-130 Hercules aircraft, a turboprop. It's from the Philippine Air Force, and according to an Air Force statement, it had a mishap on landing on the island of Jolo. That statement says rescue efforts are ongoing. Pictures from the scene, there are some pictures, this is according to Reuters, saying that they show flames and smoke pouring from the wreckage of that plane, that C-130, amongst trees. The defense minister of the Philippines has told Reuters that the plane was carrying 92 people, including 3 pilots and 5 other crew members. That's according to his initial reports, the defense minister. And Reuters again saying that the armed forces chief telling reporters at least 40 people have been rescued from that plane and they are now being treated. But the news this morning from the Philippines, Reuters reporting that a military plane, a C-130 Hercules, has crashed on the island of Jolo. 92 people on board, the army chief saying at least 40 have been rescued. We'll keep an eye on that and bring you any news from the Philippines this morning. But let's have a look at some of the other stories making the news. And Cyprus has called for international help to deal with the most severe forest fire in its history. Local officials say the blaze has a perimeter of 25 miles with at least 3 villages in its path evacuated. The demolition of the collapsed Miami apartment block is due to be brought forward to today as Tropical Storm Elsa heads for Florida. The search and rescue mission has been suspended amid fears that the remaining parts of the building could be brought down by the heavy approaching winds. 24 people are known to have died in the collapse. 121 are still missing. 3 people have died following Tropical Storm Elsa's rampage through the southern coasts of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Miami's National Hurricane Center says the storm is now approaching Cuba on its way towards the Florida Straits. At least 2 people are dead and 20 are missing after a powerful mudslide demolished houses in a town near Tokyo on Saturday morning. The mudslide happened in Atami, southwest of the Japanese capital, after a week of heavy rain caused rivers to swell. The Japanese military have been drafted in to help with the rescue effort. The new leader of the Democratic Unionist Party says Northern Ireland risks losing out on economic opportunities because of the Brexit border in the Irish Sea. In his first TV interview since taking up the post, Sir Jeffrey Donaldson also said any process for dealing with the legacy of the Troubles needs to respect victims. He told our senior Ireland correspondent David Blevins that the Prime Minister needs to recognise that the Brexit Protocol is destabilising devolved government.
We've heard him recognise that there are difficulties in terms of the relationship between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, but not just in trading terms. The Prime Minister also needs to recognise that this impacts on our constitutional position. I'm prepared always to give people a second chance, and I'm prepared to give the Prime Minister an opportunity now to put right what was done wrong to Northern Ireland under the protocol.
But there are those who would say it's time for the DUP to put right the wrong of promoting a Brexit that was going to require a border somewhere. Is it perhaps time to look at the positive, to promote the benefits of having access to the EU market and the GB market?
I believe there are opportunities going forward, but we can't get to those opportunities because of these unnecessary barriers. Much of our supply chain comes from Great Britain. Whether you are a consumer buying goods in a supermarket or a business relying on component parts for your manufacturing process, we need to fix that supply chain problem. We need to restore Northern Ireland's place within the UK, both the market and constitutionally. And if we can do that, then yes, we will see the opportunities that will flow, provided we can find practical solutions on trade with the EU.
Let's talk for a moment about legacy. We've seen another 2 historical prosecutions collapse this week. How does Northern Ireland draw a line under its difficult past? Is there an alternative to the government's proposal of a prosecutorial amnesty?
I think we need a process that moves us from where we are to where we can finally say, well, look, we've examined the past. We have given people the opportunity to explore whether there is the prospect of prosecutions against those who murdered their loved ones. And then, yes, we need to move to the next phase of the peace process. So we need some form of process that recognises the suffering of many, the injustice that many feel in Northern Ireland. I don't think you can pull a veil over that. I don't think you can ignore that. I think that if we're going to have healing, we need to have recognition and acknowledgement.
And you can see more of that interview on Trevor Phillips on Sunday this morning, 8:30. Trevor's also going to be joined by the Housing Secretary, Robert Jenrick, and Labour's Shadow Chancellor, Rachel Reeves. Let's go back to our top story now. In England reaching the Euro 2020 semi-final after thrashing Ukraine 4-0 in Rome. Let's get the thoughts now from Tony Bennett and his family. They actually were at the game last night. And Billy Grant, who's been to 15 major tournaments supporting England. Billy, hang on. We're going to talk to Tony and his family first. Tony, we chatted to you yesterday, your entire family. You were looking forward to it. Did it live up to your expectations?
I mean, sorry for my voice. We had to make enough noise for all the fans, but outstanding performance, unbelievable, and the best England performance we can ever remember. And for once, we weren't worried. It was a good performance, and there was nothing to worry about.
Right. The first goal was what, in 5 minutes?
3 minutes.
3, I think. No, yeah, it was 4 minutes by Kane. Who else? Yeah. So yeah, it was fantastic to see Kane score, and I think the fact that he's now scored a few goals for England, he's now got the momentum and the confidence, the motivation to do even better, and hopefully that can give us a little bit of an advantage to reach the final and win it. Hopefully, yeah.
What did you make of the atmosphere in the stadium? Because when we spoke to you, you guys were saying, listen, we're going to be screaming loud enough for everyone who can't make it. What was it like in the actual stadium? Were there lots of England supporters?
It felt like the stadium was completely full. It was an amazing experience. I think they made up for everybody. It was incredible.
Okay, what was your favourite? Well, let's talk to you, Amber. What was your favourite moment of the match?
My favourite moment, I mean, I think it would have to be either like the first or second goal. I think the first maybe because no one was really expecting it because the match had just started. There were loads of fans, obviously. I mean, there was quite a few Ukrainian fans, there were quite a few English. So it was really nice and a lot of people were chanting. And I saw the ball just go. And I didn't expect it to actually like score. So when it did, I don't think anyone did. So when it did, like everyone was screaming so loudly and we could see Harry Kane on the screen. So honestly, that had to be my favourite because it was just that quick and we scored and it was absolutely amazing. I think that had to be the best bit by far.
Listen, it's 8 o'clock there. Thank you so much for getting up and talking to us. Your breakfast does look quite glorious. And the sunshine. Is there sunshine?
Yeah.
Was there a big party on the streets?
Oh yeah. There really was. Like there were so many people singing "It's Coming Home" and they had their flags and like there were so many people just screaming football chants. It was so good. Like there were people on top of other shoulders and like when we came out there was this big congregation like of fans like in like this big circle and like they were throwing like drinks in the air and everyone was screaming. They had their flags and then it was just so loud and then when you walked you could see everyone screaming like "Coming Home." Like it was so good. All the England fans were like absolutely like thrilled. They were so happy. I mean, so were we.
We made enough noise for a full stadium, I'm sure.
The atmosphere, electric.
Oh man, that sounds so great. Well, thank you so much for chatting to us. Let's chat to Billy now. He's been to every match since the 90s, haven't you? You obviously couldn't go to the one in Rome, but you have a ticket for Wednesday, don't you?
I do have, well, I do, yeah. The email came through late last night. I know everyone was sort of tenderhooked after sort of checking that out. Have we got our tickets? I have to say, though, I'm very, very jealous of the Bennetts who have been going to that game in Rome because obviously going to every tournament, 15 tournaments now. I mean, going to tournaments is the thing. And they've seen, you know, that what we crave when we go to football. I mean, I watched a game in a Scandinavian bar actually last night. We sort of planned it out. We thought if we could watch the Denmark game early on and then England plays Sweden, fingers crossed afterwards, it's going to be a great night. And it'll sort of make up for not being in Rome. One of my mates actually, a couple of mates are actually out in Rome yesterday. They got out there, Puns and Peter, they got out there. So I'm so jealous of that atmosphere that they've got. But we made our own atmosphere here back in London last night in the bars. It was great just being with your mates that love football, that want to see England, are supportive of England. I think that, you know, there's been a little bit of moaning about Gareth's tactics and the teams that he's picking. And I've said beforehand, he's the coach, he's the manager, he knows what he's doing. Honestly, we just need to get out the group and then when it comes to it, bang, we're just going to smash someone. And we did it last night. And the atmosphere, we were with the Danes and us, we were all celebrating together because they all want to play us, the Danes, the Danish fans. So that's great. So we've actually got the semi-final that we want. We just have to, fingers crossed, actually do the business now.
What do you think about Southgate's choices last night?
I thought he got it spot on. Of course he's got it spot on. Look, you know, I mean, we scored after 3 goals. Harry Kane, a lot of people are saying, why are you picking Harry Kane? He's not very good. They see him in training all the time. They know what he's like. And a player like him, you can't leave him out the side because once he gets going, it's all over. And, you know, we wanted to score in the knockout phases. He's scored a couple of goals now. Listen, we've got a couple of games, fingers crossed now, you know, between now and the final. I think great, you know, Sterling as well. Absolutely fantastic. Like, you know, even Jordan Henderson comes on, you know, to shore things up as it is and puts the ball in the back of the net. Listen, he knows what he's doing. Chris Powell on the training, you know, a part of this training crew as well. He knows exactly what he's doing. Them lot, listen, they've watched what the Italians did back in the day and the Germans did back in the day. And they said, listen, let's do that. Let's just edge our way to the final. And then we'll just blow people away when we need to.
Okay, step by step. Wednesday, what do you think we're going to see?
Oh, listen, I think Wednesday, back in Wembley, of course. So, first of all, you're going to see an absolute... Listen, against Germany, that stadium was rocking. I mean, it was properly rocking. So, you know, first of all, you're going to see fans taking the days off work. So even though it's an 8 o'clock kickoff, I can guarantee you people are going to be going missing on Wednesday. The atmosphere in London is going to be really tense. It's going to be really vibesy. Like, you know, we're going to get down to the stadium very, very early as well, make a lot of noise. And then you're going to see Gareth Southgate pick the team that he thinks is right to take the Danes. The Danes are a very good side. I mean, I'm a Brentford fan. We got promoted this season and our team is made up. We've got a Danish manager, Thomas Frank, who's a top bloke. You know, Besotted podcast, we did an interview with him, and he just told us how he'd love to have a Denmark versus England final, as he says. You know, we've got loads of Danish players in sort of kind of Norgard, and we've got Jensen who come on all the time for Denmark. So we know how good that Danish side is, and we've been sort of cheering them on. But on Wednesday, we're going to stop cheering on the Danes because we have to cheer on England, and hopefully their path through this final is going to finish at the moment now, because there's only one team that should be going through to the final. But I'm touching wood loads because you know me, I don't like to all this superstition business. I've got to keep touching wood to make sure that we do it. And I think that England have shown we've not let in a goal. Right? We've got great players, we've got great attack, and if we just keep our eye on the ball, we can actually do it. But we really need to be on the ball. We can't presume anything. And I think England fans, we've been through so much. We've been so close, you know, 66, 1990, like, you know, Russia, you know, I was at all those games and so much pain. But I think we've learned from that. And now we're actually going to go in, just go and do the business. Let's just go and do the job. And I trust them to do that.
I actually feel like cheering for that little pep talk, Billy. Thanks. It's not easy being an England fan, is it? But thank you so much, Billy and the Bennetts. Thank you. Wednesday,
come on, England. Come on, England.
Good morning. We have got plenty of weather to talk about today. It's a mixture of sunny spells and some heavy, thundery showers.
Look forward to brighter skies. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
The showers today could pop up just like yesterday pretty much anywhere, but the main focus will be across central and northern parts of the UK. It's a bit grey first thing in the south with the showers around here already, and further north across the north of Scotland also seeing some showery rain. A little bit of brightness in between, but we do have some low cloud, some coastal fog really hugging the coasts of eastern parts of Northern Ireland, North East England and eastern Scotland. In the sunnier spells today, we're looking at 21 to maybe 23 degrees. It will feel warm, quite humid in the sunshine, but showers popping up through the afternoon, and some of those will be quite heavy and thundery, especially through parts of North Wales, Northern England, Ireland, Northern Ireland and into Scotland. And these heavier showers will tend to keep going through the night tonight. There'll be some clearer spells further south and fewer showers in the south on Monday, but again, could be some more showers to come further north.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Hello again, you're watching Sky News Breakfast. Now, today marks the first ever National Thank You Day, a day to celebrate the efforts of the NHS as well as volunteers and key workers over the course of the pandemic. Events will be taking place across the country, and I'm joined now by the Thank You Day ambassador, the musician and chef, Levi Roots. Good morning, Levi. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Kimberly. Thanks for having me. I'm feeling absolutely wonderful morning today on this great day, 4th of June.
Oh, it's not so sunny, but it is a blessed day indeed.
And the sunshine is here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if anyone deserves a thank you, it's the NHS.
Absolutely. And I think, for us all, I think the NHS deserves it, but I think this is about the community as well. I think today is a great day for us all to say thank you to each other. And that's everybody. And I think this is just a fantastic initiative. When I first heard about it, I just thought this is a no-brainer. It is something that I think everybody should want to get involved in.
How did you get involved?
Well, I had a call from a group of people that set this up. I think this was a community initiative. I think this is one that the people wanted to say thank you to. The people like the shopkeeper down the road, the family and friends that's kept us going throughout this COVID over the past year and a half. And I had so many people that I wanted to say thank you to, that I was grateful for. I lost my mom, I lost my brother. Two, people closest to my heart. And when that happened, there was so many people that I wanted to say thank you, especially to Great Oaks Dean Forest Hospice, who looked after my mom before she passed away. And these are the people that I think that is really special for me to say thank you.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Was that during the pandemic?
Yes, during the pandemic, as I said, during the past year, and losing two families, and not just me. I think we've all either lost somebody or know somebody that has lost somebody. So I think that it's just a great time for us just to sit back and not just to say thank you like we always do, but just say it with meaning. And in my style, say it with some food, which is what I'll be doing later on.
Oh, Levi, I'm so sorry to hear that. It must have been absolutely terrible to just to live through that. I'm so sorry to hear that. But as you say, you are going to say thank you through food. That's obviously very close to your heart, to everyone's. I don't like to cook, I like to eat. But tell us how you're going to do it later.
Well, I've got some help, and I've got some fantastic help from the boys and girls of the Scouts, which is absolutely amazing, and from the NCS as well, too. So they'll be helping me sort of to create my fantastic recipe, which is my home-style jerk chicken wings. And at 7 o'clock tonight, we'll be cooking, keeping the biggest barbecue, the Barbie thank you, right across the whole country, so we can have something to eat. The greatest thing that I think that brings people together is food. So we can cook and pass something over to our neighbors, or if with social distancing bearing in mind, of course. But yes, but cook something fantastic and either share it with somebody or share a recipe with somebody tonight. That's going to be absolutely amazing.
Oh, it sounds absolutely fantastic. So jerk chicken and what else?
What, corn on the cob, salads, whatever. And I think nowadays with vegan and everything is so, accessible to us in our supermarket. I think whether you want burgers or whether you want sausages or whatever, there is something for you, whether you're a meat eater or whether you're a vegan or a vegetarian. So get involved in the kitchen and cook. I'll be cooking with the Prime Minister a little bit later on, so that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I read that. Boris Johnson is actually coming to your barbecue, right?
No, actually, I'm going to him to do something with him. So it'd be a great chance for me to, to say thank you and to say thank you to the England football team, because I think that's made us feel all special this morning. And we are grateful for Raheem Sterling and for Harry Kane and for the rest of the boys. So a really important day today.
Oh, Levi, well, we are thankful to you. You are our sunshine today. Thank you so much and have a fantastic barbecue.
Cheers, Kimberly. Bye.
Bye. Let's have a quick look at the weather.
Look forward to brighter skies. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Good morning. There will be some bright or sunny spells to come today, and it will feel warm, quite humid in fact, in the sunshine. But yet again, we're going to see a rash of showers developing across the UK and Ireland. And already there's some pretty heavy showers around parts of southern England, Wales, Ireland and a few across the north of Scotland. Make the most of any drier slots today. There are more showers to come, hit and miss as showers can be, and some of them can be quite heavy and thundery, especially central and northern parts of the UK. Perhaps something a little bit better towards the southeast later on. We do have quite a lot of low cloud and mist just clinging onto the coast of northeast England, eastern Scotland, eastern coast of Northern Ireland as well. But temperatures high teens, low 20s. There are the showers around, as I mentioned. They'll start to fade from the south later, but we'll see more in the north and they'll continue through the night.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
7:43 now. Coming up, we'll have another look at the papers with the broadcaster Anne Diamond and the editor of the Sunday Express, Nick Booker. And who knows, I'll maybe get the names right this hour. See you then.
Well, look, we know we've got to get rid of coal. The world agrees that coal is the most polluting fossil fuel. The UK has done great things and more announcements today on its coal phase-out acceleration. But the UK is a tiny amount of global emissions with practically no coal left in its generation. And while we shut down coal and other European countries do, countries like China are opening 5 times as much new coal as the rest of the world put together. And we know that many economies around the world are still very, very coal dependent. So I co-created the PPCA, the Powering Past Coal Alliance, with my good friend in Canada back in 2017. It's been a really effective way of getting governments to pledge to come off coal by 2030. But the challenge is, how do you get into these giant coal-using countries? And at the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, our members are drawn from the most ambitious global companies who have enormous supply chains that go right back into those factories that are burning coal across the world. And so we'll be working with our members as part of the PPCA to see how we can use the power of those supply chains, the power of those contracts, to get this coal switch happening faster. Companies like Apple, like Google, are very good actually at working with the local authorities to build renewable energy plants, for example, to work out how to make these changes on the ground. But we haven't been clear, in our view, enough about coal. We've focused a lot on the switch to renewables, then you often get into a row about, is it okay to use gas as a transitional fuel in the mix? You know, I'm sure you know this, but the way we got off coal in the UK, which happened very rapidly, is by standing up gas, standing up biomass, and investing increasingly in renewables. But many countries say, well, we can't go straight to a renewable system. You can't, as an energy minister, I can tell you, you can't run a grid of 100% renewables. So we want to use gas, and you're telling us we can't. So I think sharpening this message to say, yes, we want to transition to a renewables future, but in the meantime, let's put coal firmly in the gun sights and get rid of that in short order. You know, we look at the carbon dioxide levels, they're the highest they've been for 4.5 million years. We need to make coal history, and we need to do it now.
Hello, or like we say in my language, Zole. I am Tonti, the founder and the CEO of Renewables in Africa. This picture changed my whole career and my whole life. Our mission is simple, it's to bring back power to Africa. And our vision is to turn the dark continent that I saw in 2008 into a brighter and prosperous one by 2040.
Did you know symptoms of hay fever can develop at any stage of life, not just in childhood? The Pollen Reports, sponsored by Philips Connected Air Purifiers.
It's a rather grey start for some of us, with showers in the south and also for parts of Scotland, but the cloud will start to break up through the day to reveal a mixture of sunny spells and further scattered showers, some of which could be heavy and thundery, especially for central and northern parts. Still warm, rather muggy in the sunshine. Top temperatures will be into the low 20s, but certainly a risk of some heavy and thundery downpours to watch out for, which will reduce the pollen count, but we are in the peak of grass pollen season at the moment.
The Pollen Reports, sponsored by Philips Connected Air Purifiers.
Hello again, Sky News Breakfast. Another look at the papers now. Anne Diamond and Mick Booker are here with us again to have another look through. Hi again, guys. Anne, let's start with the Mail. Who is Emma?
Isn't it lovely that there's so much good news to celebrate this morning? Yeah. Emma Raducanu is the new tennis star for Britain. She was a wild card. She's never played anything like this before, certainly never earned anything like it before. She was ranked 338th, I think, in the world. But she got into Wimbledon and she beat the world number 45 yesterday, just a couple of weeks after finishing her A-levels. She hasn't had her results yet. And she's got the world is in front of her now because she's so photogenic. I mean, just look at her. The papers went crazy. And Sue Barker said, as she was commentating, you know, her face is going to be on the front pages tomorrow. And it was in many of the early editions. So if her family want to go out and buy souvenirs, go for the early editions. She's on those. Of course, she was kicked off a bit later by the football result. But she is a rising star. She speaks beautifully. She's got a lot to say. She's got a sense of humour and a winning smile. And it just makes you feel good that at last we've got another rising star in the world of tennis, and particularly women's tennis.
Yeah, no, just fantastic. She's going to go far. Mick, what is this? Mail on Sunday. What? Nice guys can be winners?
Yeah, well, apparently. Now, there's a few stages that the national newspapers go through during following England in a football tournament when they're doing well. We've just gone past the overexcited, terrible pun headline stage with last night's game. We're now moving into the overly optimistic features, which look as though we're already celebrating the fact that the players and management have already won, despite the fact that the final's next week. But we'll overlook that because we like to bask in these things. And as it says, Katie Hind in the Mail has done a nice profile of Gareth Southgate, and you know, just what a lovely guy he is. And I think we were saying earlier about his influence on the team, and I think a lot of the pundits have been saying that. But you know, over the years, he's not been one of the most glamorous of players. You know, he's had his ups and downs. He missed that penalty in '96, but since then, he's slowly, you know, just built up a very good management career. He's got a wife and 2 kids. He's got a lovely sort of mansion up in Harrogate where he lives quietly. He likes to listen to smooth radio. He doesn't get out and about much. He doesn't gamble, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. He's an all-around good guy. He's a bit boring, but as it says, he's proof that nice guys can win. It just takes them a little bit longer. So hopefully this time next week, we are still writing these features and we are just ahead of a big final at Wembley.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic. Fingers crossed. OK, to the Observer now, Anne. And can Keir Starmer win?
Well, exactly. He's now apparently going to lay out a very bold plan for his financial aspects, really. Ambitious plans, apparently, to make, sell and buy more in Britain. In other words, another Buy Britain campaign. I'm not sure that it's going to work. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the 60s Buy British campaign, which was very successful. Then there was another Buy British campaign in the 80s, a bit half-hearted. But we live in a different world now. If you tell people to buy British, what does that mean? They shouldn't go out and buy a Nissan car. I mean, Nissan cars are being built in this country, thank goodness, with more jobs available. I just think we live in a different world now, and people buy on merit, and they also buy because they can go on the internet and they can find the best bargain for themselves. And I don't think they'll ever care whether it's particularly British or not.
Mick, what do you think? Do you think this is what Labour needs, or do you think even after this people are still going to say, well, what does the Labour Party stand for under Keir Starmer?
Well, I think this is good because it's actually a policy, and I actually couldn't remember any of their other policies so far. And I think it's a sign. I think it's Keir Starmer, and I think it's Rachel Reeves as well, the Shadow Chancellor, who's behind this plan. And broadening it, it's looking at using British suppliers as well. Firms being told to use British suppliers when making orders. And she's interviewed also in the Telegraph about this, and she's talking about how even with passports we outsource that to France under the current government, and they're not doing enough, and they should be doing that. And it's a good interview in the Telegraph that she's given, and it just sounds a bit more serious and something that voters could possibly get behind, because we've seen with Nissan last week reinvesting in Britain with their new model that Brexit Britain does appear, though it still has its critics, Brexit Britain does appear to be, if not working to many, but it's slowly moving in the right direction, and it looks as though it is a big positive. So I think Labour are right to get behind that idea that that voters do like to be patriotic about where people buy and where we are investing.
OK, let's lighten it up a bit and go to Mick's paper, The Express, a very animated Queen on, what is this, page 15. She's at the Windsor Horse Show, but the story you've chosen, Anne, is Cha-Cha Charles.
Yeah, I love the way, though, the Queen at the Windsor Horse Show, it's one of the times you really see her being her and being interested in what she's interested in. She wasn't looking at the tennis or the football, and wearing the sort of gear that she likes to wear. And then she changed a bit later on when she was being more formal. I thought that was quite interesting. But yeah, this one is what Levi Roots was talking about. This is sort of National Thank You Day, where at 5 o'clock we're all meant to raise a cup of tea and toast to volunteers who've been so brilliant during the last year. And Charles, Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, did an interview for Hospital Radio because, of course, Hospital Radio has kept people going, always does, but particularly has in the last year. He's given an interview, a sort of Desert Island Discs type thing, where he's named his favourite songs or tunes that get him up dancing around. And it's the 3 Degrees he's gone for. Now, he was always he always loved the 3 Degrees. I think they sang at one of his big birthday parties. And he said that his favourite track is Giving Up, Giving In by the 3 Degrees. And if he names all the other tracks as well, most of them I don't know. They go well back beyond the 70s. But he did his bit for Hospital Radio yesterday.
OK, finally, Fashionista Mick. What is this in the Telegraph about high heels in the Ukraine?
Yeah, well, yesterday, obviously, the big story for the Ukrainians was the football, but there was another big story as well. There was a lot of anger about this picture because there's going to be a 30 years of independence march by the army in Ukraine from Russia, and this picture emerged of some of the women in the Ukrainian army have been forced to wear these heels, and now there's been a big uproar about sexism and misogyny in the armed forces in the Ukraine. And to be fair, we were all they're talking about high heels, not back heels, last night in Ukraine. Okay? And it's just interesting because maybe the fellas were playing in those heels because they looked as though they were the performance they put in for the Ukrainian side.
OK, well, we're going to leave it there. That looked absolutely painful, marching in those heels. They are not nice. Anne and Mick, it's always such a pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a great week ahead.
Thanks.
Lots more still to come on Sky News Breakfast. Of course, England have knocked out Ukraine and have a place in the Euro 2020 semi-final.